Welcome back to the FTN College Basketball Betting Show. I am Mike Randle, Chief Content Officer here at FTN, and the college football season has ended. We had a dominant performance from Georgia last night over TCU, and now college basketball starts to get that momentum that we always talk about. Make sure to hit like and subscribe, folks. We are going to try to come to you 3 days a week, today, tomorrow, and Saturday. Again, as we get into later January and February, looks like we'll do a Monday, Wednesday, Saturday show as those slates pick up. So as always, put those questions in the comment and make sure you hit like and subscribe. We have a few picks today, and we also have some games at 2 o'clock. I'm going on the Daily Bet Show with Dane, our spitting statistician here at FTN Bets, and he is going to do a couple extra ones with me as well. Of course, please subscribe. We have so much great content for you. We're doing so well here at FTN during college basketball season. A wacky Sunday. Let's see if we can bounce back here and get some good plays today. Let's get to the comments right as we start. First up, thoughts. Taylor Travis, always appreciate the follow. Taylor, thoughts on LSU plus 1.5 at home in a bounce back spot. I will get to that at the end. I do have a strong opinion on this one as well. It's not one of the games I'm talking about today. I have a small slate here, but a couple games I want to get to so we can talk about. But I will definitely touch on the LSU game for you as well. Okay, let's get going. We will start here with our first game, St. John's and Butler. Folks, I am going with St. John's in this spot. And if you look around, I think this number has actually dropped to 3.5. St. John's had much loftier preseason expectations than this. They were predicted 6 in the preseason poll. Red Storm is now 11-6 after 11-1 start, but they have played better as of late. They lost to Marquette at home, but they did put 85 points up on a solid Marquette defensive squad, and they led by 7 at the half, even without Andre Curbelo, who was suspended. He is back now, and you saw when Curbelo comes back, the St. John's team is dangerous. They played their best game of the season in an 83-80 loss at Providence. Now here comes Butler, and the Johnnies do not want a 6-game losing streak. The Johnnies still have these thoughts of making the tournament, and there's certainly a lot of talent on this team. Joel Soriano inside, Pasha Alexander, Curbelo, have a lot of players on this team. They can't lose 6 in a row. 5 in a row you can overcome. We've seen some weird teams this year, like Creighton losing a ton of games as well. St. John's needs this win badly tonight, and they have a big, massive rebounding advantage inside. It's a desperation play against a Butler team that I think they have more talent than, certainly. Johnnies need to force turnovers. I think they will. This game has a high total. It's about 147.5. It's inching up to 150. I think that plays right into the hands of the Red Storm, who have the second fastest tempo in the country. Butler has Villanova at home on the horizon, who they always play tough. I don't see it with Butler. I love Thad Matta, but I will take a desperate St. John's team here at home to get the win and the cover. They're going to have to score because I think St. John's will. How are they going to do that? Jaden Taylor, Manny Bates, I get it. But I believe in St. John's here at home. We are going to start by going with them. Next game up. This was my bet of the day here at FTN. The FTN bets today have been doing very, very well. I am going with Virginia minus 4.5 against North Carolina. Now, Virginia, with that horrific loss to Pittsburgh, they were actually up. Then Pittsburgh came back. Francisco Cafaro, who's a bench guy, plays about 10 minutes per game. He was out in that game, but I believe in Virginia. I believe in them as the ACC champions this year. I think they're going to come back. The only team that's undefeated right now in the ACC is Clemson. I think this is a bad matchup for North Carolina. I don't see them rallying here. I think Virginia is still very strong inside the arc. Defensive metrics are great. They're great at defending on the interior. The way that you beat Virginia is by hitting threes, and North Carolina has not showed us that they can do that with any sort of consistency, only shooting 31.9%. That's 250th in the country right now. North Carolina doesn't force turnovers. Virginia doesn't give you turnovers. Virginia is still shooting great from three-point range, 38%. North Carolina does not defend the three. North Carolina has struggled here across the board. They've also been really lucky. Teams have only shot 66% from the free throw line against North Carolina this year. That's top 30 in the nation. Virginia actually has had some bad luck. Teams have shot 74% from the free throw line against them. I like Virginia here at home. Virginia at this point really needs this game. They lost to Pittsburgh. They're 3-2. They have the loss to Miami away. They have the loss to Pittsburgh away. They were a little punchy against Syracuse, but they got up big. I think they get the job done here. I do not see how North Carolina comes in to Virginia and wins this game, so I will lay the small number there as well. Third game. The disrespect to Iowa State in the market is just unreal. A lot of people viewed Iowa State as the worst team this year. coming into the Big 12, and their Ken Palm numbers were the lowest. Folks, what does Iowa State have to do to prove to you that they are a top 10 team? They beat Baylor at home by 15. They beat Oklahoma away, not easy, by 3. They beat TCU away, very tough battle there, away by 2 points. They played Connecticut and lost at a neutral, and they played rival Iowa and lost that game. But they are number 1 in the country in forcing defensive turnovers. They are great at defending the 3. They are great on the offensive boards. Asuna inside, the St. Bonaventure transfer has been fantastic, and they have great chemistry. But this is also a pick, as you know, against Texas Tech. I don't like Texas Tech this year. I think it's the second year for Mark Adams. I don't think it's easy. I think you have to adjust. He has lost 3 straight games: TCU, Kansas, and the Oklahoma game at home. The Kansas and Oklahoma games were at home. Kansas, they were up big. They made a nice comeback, but they fell short. I don't like this Texas Tech team. Their defense is just okay. It's not great. They have injuries in this game as well. We don't know if Pop Isaac, the freshman, who's fantastic, great three-point shooter, has been done a real nice job for them, is going to play. They've had some injuries and banged up across the board. And this Texas Tech team, they are not great from the free throw line. They have really never recovered after losing IMAC in the preseason. The transfers of the rumors of him transferring are sort of going away now. But this is a team that is a very sensitive, constructed team. Their metrics look good. They've lost 3 in a row. If this game was home, I could get there. I can't get there on the road. Iowa State is just that good, and they have played that well this year. So I am laying the points here with Iowa State. I think this is maybe even dropped down to 5.5. No problem for me. I believe in Iowa State. Hilton Magic is alive, and I don't think Texas Tech is coming in and changing that at all. I am going to this game tonight, so I'm going to be there in person. Please tweet me, send me messages if you want, no problem. I like Fordham getting 7. It's now 7.5 here against Dayton. Dayton has looked very strong as of late. They've played very well. But let's not forget that Dayton is still extremely shorthanded. They are missing in their backcourt. They are missing Kobe Ellis and Malachi Smith, 2 solid members of their backcourt. They have been doing this and been on their streak while being shorthanded. I just chalk that up to what I call the law of efforts. I do think at some point they're going to slow down. They have won 6 games in a row. They beat St. Joe's by 20. They beat Davidson by 14. They beat Duquesne at home by 12. They've played very well. But I think at some point they're going to slip up because it's impossible for them to keep going despite being shorthanded. They had that run earlier in the year where they lost 4 or 5, and they barely beat Robert Morris at home. This is a Fordham team that stumbled as of late, but really snapped out of it in the second half against St. Joe's. Played very well. Darius Quisenberry, who was out for a couple of games, looked better. He scored 15 points. He had 5 rebounds, a steal, and a block. This Fordham team has been solid at home. I like their defense inside the arc. They hold opponents top 20 to just 44% from inside the arc, and they're great on the defensive boards, one and done. So here comes Dayton, a team that scores the majority of their points inside the arc, which is the strength of Fordham's defense. A team in Dayton that does not shoot the 3 well, only shooting 31%. A team in Dayton that's shooting under 69% from the free throw line, and they are laying points on the road. And one thing that we have noticed this year, folks, that winning on the road, covering when you are a road favorite in conference, is very difficult. I have always said, when you look at a game and the favorite is on the road in conference, start by taking the home underdog originally, and then see if you can talk yourself out of it. We did it with Kansas twice. Kansas on the road twice. We got there with Texas Tech. We got there with West Virginia. In this case, I don't see a shorthanded Dayton team going against a very improved Fordham team with a star player in Quisenberry, who knows this is going to be a big game. It's Arthur Avenue night at Fordham. They're making this a big, big game here. I expect a huge home court advantage. Wouldn't be surprised if Fordham won. I will take the 7.5. As always, what would get me off of this game if Quisenberry is out, which I don't have any evidence that he is, but you never know. Of course, that's the next game. 2 plays left for you here, and then I'll get to Taylor's question about LSU. This is Musa Cece dependent, this pick, but I do like Kansas State tonight laying 4.5. Kansas State, and there's a picture of Keontae Johnson, just the best story in college basketball, what he has come back from. But Kansas State at home, remember, it's the Octagon of Doom, folks. That's what we're talking about. Kansas State here at home against Oklahoma State. great from three-point range, great from inside the arc, fantastic on the defensive ends under Jerome Tang. That was a huge, huge win over Baylor in overtime. Tang had been an assistant under Scott Drew for many, many years, went on the road and won at Baylor. So you're going to argue a letdown spot? I don't see it. Last 3 games, listen to what Kansas State has done. They were down at home in their Big 12 opener to a good, well-coached West Virginia team, 17-3. They come back to win in overtime, 82-76. They play Texas away at Texas and hang 116 points on the Texas Longhorns defense. And even though Texas is a little bit of disaster right now, a little uncertainty, that's impressive. 116 points regular time against Texas. And then Baylor, they come back against a Baylor team that really need that win in the worst way, got their best effort. They didn't want to lose 3 in a row, and they did. Now they're coming home to Oklahoma State. I like what Mike Boynton's doing. He is top 10 in the country in defense. He's top 6 on the interior. But Kansas State at home is going to match them on defense. They shoot 36% from three-point range. They're solid from two-point range, and they're great on the offensive boards. If Musa Cisse does not play in this game, Oklahoma State has no chance of winning this game. If he plays, is he going to be limited? Reigning Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. Again, laying points. I'm not great with laying points at home. It gets me a little nervous here, but Kansas State is playing that well. They have the best player on the floor in Keontae Johnson. We don't know the situation with Cisse, and Oklahoma State now going on the road. That was a bad loss at home to Texas. Texas could not score. They struggled, but they left open shooters. I think this is a back-and-forth game because of Oklahoma State's defense, and I think Kansas State pulls away here down the stretch. So we are going with them for game number 5. And our last game tonight, can somebody explain to me why Illinois is a favorite in this game? I mean, has Illinois really solved all of their problems in this game after their big win at home over a wall-less Wisconsin team? I don't think so. I like Nebraska getting the points here at home, and even if you want to go money line, I'm fine with that. Nebraska at home this year has played Purdue. That's obviously one of the best teams in the country with Zach Edey inside. They hung with them, and they almost beat them in overtime. They played Minnesota away. They won that game gritty in overtime as well, so they've played close games. At home to Iowa, they blew them out by 16. That was a very comfortable win. I like this Nebraska team. Now Illinois comes in, who has been up and down. They are missing, of course, their point guard, Sky Clark, the freshman, has left the team, personal reasons, so they're shorthanded. They did beat Wisconsin 79-69, but in that game, folks, Wisconsin shorthanded, not with their leading scorer in the game, of course, Tyler Wall. So that's a huge difference. And actually, Wisconsin got that game close at the end. So I don't see how Illinois, who lost at home to Penn State, then beat Alabama A&M, then lost on a neutral to Missouri by 22, but beat Bethune-Cookman at home, then lost away to Northwestern, then beat a wall-less Wisconsin team, now should be favored by 3.5. I like this Nebraska team at home. Illinois is still shooting only 66% from three-point range. That's not great. I don't like backing a road conference team, especially if they can't make free throws. Nebraska has played well. Remember, most of the year they didn't have Derek Walker inside for the first 5 or 6 games. He's come back and has played well. This team is live at home. Fred Hoiberg does a good job. I like Nebraska here getting the 3.5 points against Illinois. That is my last pick. Now we're going to have a couple extra ones with Dane coming up at 2 o'clock. So, of course, I'll put that on my Twitter feed. Going back to the comments here from Taylor. Thoughts on LSU plus 1.5 at home? I do have thoughts on this game, Taylor, and I am taking LSU in this matchup. Florida has not shown me any reason why they should be, in this situation, favored in the game. LSU beat Wake Forest on a neutral. They beat Arkansas at home. I know Arkansas is a little shorthanded, but still impressive. That's better than any win Florida has this year. Florida's 0-6 against quad 1 opponents. They don't have a big win yet. They're just 6-9 against the spread, 2-4 against the spread in their last 6. LSU 6-9 against the spread, but they have covered 2 of their last 3. Tigers are shooting 36% from three-point range. Florida's terrible at defending the 3 and have been horrific on the boards in SEC play. Florida, so far this year in conference play, has been the worst team at rebounding in the entire SEC. KJ Williams has been fantastic inside, came over from Murray State here with the head coach, Matt McMahon. Second leading scorer in the SEC behind the freshman Brandon Miller of Arkansas. Williams does not foul, which is critical against Colin Castleton. Colin Castleton's been a little disappointing this year, has not dominated with the scoring. This Gators team seems to me under Todd Golden like they're still trying to find their way. These are not Todd Golden's players, hasn't been able to put it in his system, so he's adjusting right now. If the Gators can't get up at home and cover against Mike White in the Mike White revenge game here when he brought Georgia in, why would they go on the road and win at LSU? I am taking the Tigers here as a slight underdog, which is fine for me in a bounce back spot, like you said, against Florida. So, folks, there are the games. We'll just run them down again for you really quick, and then we will get out of here. I do like St. John's. I think they're absolutely desperate here against Butler. I don't think Butler's offense is that great that they're going to win on the road. I'm going to look for a lot from St. John's building off their last game against Providence with Curbelo back. I think they get the job done here. I like Virginia against UNC. UNC has not been a detailed-oriented team all year. They have struggled on defense all year. Virginia is shooting the three lights out. UNC can't guard the three. Pete Nance, I think he's going to play, but if he doesn't, this is a slam for me. You had the big man, bench man, Kafaro, come back in and play a few minutes, which I think helps their depth. Virginia still thinks they can win the ACC. So do I. I like Virginia in this matchup. Keontae Johnson, one of the best stories in college basketball, if not the best story. Oklahoma State, Musa Cece, we still don't know his situation right now, so I'll lay the number with Kansas State in the Octagon of Doom. I will send pictures. Please contact me at Twitter. Talk trash if this pick is wrong, but I think we're going to be good here. It's going to be an exciting game down there on Arthur Avenue. Fordham +7. It's now 7.5 against Dayton. How many times can Dayton cover and win these games without their two players, Malachi Smith and Kobe Elvis? I don't know. The disrespect to Iowa State grows. If you want to say this is a flat spot for Iowa State, then Texas Tech better be fully healthy, because if they're not fully healthy, I just don't see it happening. Iowa State laying the number at home, a little Hilton magic. I don't think it's a letdown. And finally, Nebraska getting 3.5 against Illinois. I don't think Illinois has all of a sudden righted the ship now, especially with Sky Clark away. Now they have to go their first road game while still struggling to get chemistry without their point guard. 3.5 against Nebraska. I just don't like it. I don't see it. A couple comments we'll put up here, and then we will get going. Agree on Nebraska, Wisconsin, horrendous from the free throw line. And Coleman, hunchback of Notre Dame Hawkins, is not going 6-9 from three in back-to-back games. I agree. Coleman Hawkins has been very, very up and down. I loved him earlier in the year when they played Texas in that big comeback at Madison Square Garden, but he has been up and down. And last question here, thoughts on Wisconsin versus Michigan State. I like Michigan State, Reese, in this game, and I'm going to talk about this game on Dane's show in 2 o'clock. I like Michigan State. I don't think Wall plays. The type of team that Wisconsin can take advantage of at home in a spot like this is going to be a team that's fast-paced, that doesn't want to play slow. Michigan State will play slow. They will grind it. They will hit you. My only concern with this game is Malik Hall did roll his ankle against Michigan. They were running away and hiding. He went out. They came back in. I think they get the job done here. I like Michigan State in this game. I will take the points here, or lay the points rather. Michigan State laying 1.5 against Wisconsin, and I don't think Wall's playing. He did not practice Sunday. He did not practice Monday. He's out of the walking boot, but this is team. Tyson Walker's been playing fantastic this year. He's almost 14 points per game. I'm going with Michigan State. There you go, folks. College basketball slate. We'll be back again tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Make sure to follow us here. Like and subscribe at FTN. I'm Mike Randle, at Randle Rain on Twitter. We will see you tonight, folks. Let me know. Fordham, let's get an outright win tonight against Dayton. Thanks so much for joining us, folks. We will see you again tomorrow.